bring in Joan Walsh.
Joan!
Our dear, dear friend from Salon.com. Joan, how's the campaign going?
Oh, you know, it's pretty fascinating, I think. I'm excited. I'm going to take a different tack on what Obama said. I really think Obama was trying to step back and not sound presumptuous and was trying to explain his place, all the projections, and it sounded bad.
Well, I do want to hear the context. Pete,
Pete made the same
Yeah,
point.
we were talking about the same thing. That, you know, without understanding the context.
Full context. We have to be careful.
I mean, think of Jackie Robinson at a baseball writers' dinner saying, I think I'm the second baseman for the Dodgers, but I'm also a kind of symbol of blah, 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 whatever it might be.
I think he's working to get his mind around what that means, how not to seem presumptuous, and maybe it didn't work. I mean, it's
or
kind
maybe
of a
the tone of it is that it appears that I am this, and it's very stressful. I mean, you just don't know.
Exactly.
I mean, you don't know what the context is.
We are the ones we've been waiting for. Not good. You got to get rid of that.
Actually,
I don't want to hear that anymore.
And that's the problem with this statement.
Yeah, it sounds
what
like that.
preceded it, you talk about context, preceded it with we are the change that we've been waiting for. Michelle Obama saying whether she was misquoted or not. You know, this is the first time I've been really proud of my country. And you put that together, juxtapose that with this statement, and suddenly, and this is what people don't understand about politics, it's a narrative. What happens is you campaign for 15 months, and you really only need 3 statements from your opponent to put in a 30-second ad, and you define him. Republicans do it. Democrats do it. I remember every time I would campaign, I would have a lot of people out on the day of the announcement. And I'd have photographers, and I'd bring film people, everything. And I said, just get everything. I want you to get everything. And they said, but this is just... I said, listen, the election's 12 months away. I'm looking for 5 seconds. Give me 5 seconds from this rally. And that's what you do. You build a narrative. And that's what I'm afraid for Obama, just like I'd be afraid for McCain or any other candidate, that he's feeding into this narrative that's going to really blow up in his face down the road.
What he needs now, actually, is somebody at those rallies sort of looking with the eye of the RNC. And I was doing it last week, too, sort of looking at the Berlin crowds, knowing that ad that we watched this morning was writing itself. It doesn't get any better than that. There were other scenes that were moving, that were inspiring, that were great for Obama, but you knew that they were going to be able to pick some things out. So I think he's got to be a little bit smarter about being defensive on this front, because this is the line of attack. This is what they're getting him
this
with.
Is, you know, at the top of the 6 o'clock hour, Pete was talking about how politicians are so hunkered down and closed in and protected at this point, but it is because all the different ways that candidates are covered at this point and viewed, and that ad, you're right, was an accident waiting to happen. It was a good one. Are we talking about the German ad?
Yes. Oh, it was hilarious.
It was hilarious.
They did a good job.
But these statements and everything that is said, that is, picked apart to the point, and you have someone like Barack Obama, African-American candidate, who's come so far, I just think there's even a finer line.
Right, there probably is. But can we just say, of all the images that we could have seen on that trip, or of all the genuine gaffes as well as disasters, he got through it without any of that. So on balance,
it was precision, except
we're
for
sitting
the
here,
troop thing.
Right. Well, right. That's a little different.
Well,
But,
my favorite image from the scene was when he was up there. And I always love when any American president goes, and I see Germans waving American flags.
But he's the candidate.
too.
Well, okay, or the candidate. As Dana Milbank says, he's a president waiting. But you see any American politician standing up before a foreign crowd, and people waving American flags. As an American, you got to say, hey, that's a good thing.
It is. As a liberal, I wrote about this last week. Even liberals, I feel like, have had some psychic damage because of our president, who some of us didn't vote for, going abroad and being jeered, being shunned, just being this symbol of bad things Americans do. Even liberals don't like that. And it was stirring. I couldn't help myself. At first, watching the Berlin rally, I was very defensive. I was like, I saw the RNC ad. The Germans love him. What about at home? But then you just got swept up into the moment, into his words. And
Mika certainly did.
Well,
Mika
no,
and I
in the tank.
Stop it. No,
is my girlfriend going to be vice president?
Probably not.
Oh.
You would like it.
You know
I read
what?
your piece.
I've come around.
She likes Hillary,
She's come
too.
around.
I like Hillary, and I also think I'm sorry, no offense to Tim Kaine, no offense to Evan Bayh, but they're so dull. Is that the best we can do? Is that the most Barack Obama can get? You know, I feel like Hillary's a great politician. She brings so much. She unifies the party like that.
But he's not going to pick her.
No, I think you're probably right, but you know, I'm still hoping he can surprise us.
But she'd be much more useful to him or whoever becomes president if she becomes the new Ted Kennedy and really uses the resources of the Senate and creates power. She comes from a huge state.
Pushes through his legislative
and showed that she
agenda,
has a huge constituency beyond the state. It would be much better for her to really concentrate. She's a good senator.
She's an excellent senator. It's a great role. I know everybody thinks it's impossible for Obama to lose, and I have those days. But I think he can still lose. So I think he's got to be looking at what gets him over in November. And when I look at this array of not terribly inspiring vice presidential choices, I shrug and say, why not Hillary?
Pete has it. Great idea.
What's your idea?
Jim Weld.
Oh, I
keep Obama on his toes.
No, that would be
the whole
interesting.
campaign.
Listen, this
I love him. And he's a kind of a loose cannon too, which
he
I
took
love.
himself out of it.
Which means
that's why we love him.
Yeah.
A great writer, really good senator, former boxer, runaway beer truck. Make that man your vice president. News every day.
Yeah.
News every day. If not all of it good.
Willie, did you see Tamika shuddered when Joan said Obama could lose?
Here's what I just would like to say is that the Washington Post Dana Milbank piece, he heard it secondhand. It was not said before reporters. We just have to be careful. We've talked a lot about it.
You're right.
And we don't know
All right, obviously
necessarily everything
from the Obama campaign.